Left, right, left nation. We are back. Another episode coming your way tonight, this evening. Hey, I'm still your handsome host, the Silver Fox, a.k.a. Mark R. Chabot, United States Marine Corps retired. First and foremost, huge shout out to the NBA champion, Boston Celtics, 2003-2024 champions. Way to go, boys. I bleed green. Thank you so much for delivering championship number 18. That is 41 for the city of Boston. For anybody who's counting, that's Title Town for a reason. Note number 2, we have, if you like to help out with the Amphibious Tractor Memorial, which you guys know that I'm a board member of, don't be bashful, don't be shy. Please reach out. We are trying to build donations, trying to build, more energy behind that effort. It's a worthy effort. If you would like to partake in that or assist in any way, please, again, contact me. I'd love to hear from you. We don't want to do this alone. It takes a whole community to do an effort like this. So again, please reach out and contact me. Okay, that's it for the housekeeping tonight. We're going to turn our attention to my phenomenal guest. So, short story is, I've known this man since 2018 when I was the RTR, Recruit Training Regiment, MCRD San Diego, Sergeant Major, and he was one of the captains in the regiment. And I thought so highly of him, assistant director of drill instructor school, and he did a phenomenal job. And the quick story with it and how I caught attention to him was I was in charge of a service level recruit training summit, and I asked Captain Fortney to come over there and help me out with teaching, some of the classes to some of our foreign services. And he came in there and just hit a home run. And I was like, man, that guy is just phenomenal. And now he's doing phenomenal things. So quick background, infantry officer. And then he was over there at Recruit Training Regiment with me. He has since been out. And the main topic and theme tonight will be to unpack a program that is not well known that he went through, that if anybody watches this, I would ask you to please hit him up or listen to this because it's a phenomenal opportunity for veterans. Without further ado, everybody, welcome my brother, Kyle Fortney, to the show. Sir, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, man. Hey, time is the most precious resource that we have. So let's get going with it, man. That way I don't waste yours. Tell everybody a little bit about where you're from and your background, brother.
Yeah, so from Warrenton, Virginia. So born and raised out there. Track and field all through high school in sports. Had a preference towards math. I mean, besides that, nothing too special about my childhood. It was good enough at track and field. Ended up getting recruited to Navy. And had a phenomenal experience there. Graduated there in 2014.
Yeah. So real quick, let's talk about the Naval Academy. So, you gravitated there mostly probably because of your scholarships and things like that. But like, what types of benefits, did you receive on Naval Academy?
It's funny you say that. I mean, the benefits are still starting to reveal themselves now as I'm transitioned out. There's more resources that I'm aware of now that I'm a veteran than active duty. But while I was there, I mean, it's the direction that I needed as a high schooler. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know I was going into the military until I accepted the admission to the Naval Academy. Kind of stumbled upon my way to get there, but everything that I learned, the role models and the important figures in my life that I had there really shaped my path forward. And looking back, I can't imagine any other way of doing it. So it was a really phenomenal experience.
That's awesome. And the plain high school diploma guy here who went to Evoke Tech High School says this about the Naval Academy. Number one, you get nearly an Ivy League level education. And then secondly, you also get a nice fat tax-free loan on the end of it to get yourself started with being independent.
Yeah.
And I believe the last thing is it's a very short buyback. It's a 8-year buyback, correct, Kyle?
It's 5. So following graduation, we don't need to get into those details. It's a 5-year buyback or payback tour following. So it's a college degree with no student debt, and then it's guaranteed 5-year employment following that. That's about no other university can offer you a guaranteed job and knowing your exact salary when you graduate. So that's one of the things that drew me to it as well.
That's awesome, man. So if the youngsters out here that are watching this, not a freaking bad deal. And I tell you, man, like the country doesn't defend itself. So we got to keep, paying that back and paying that forward. So, hey, for those of you out there who are interested, take that plunge because America needs you.
Mm-hmm.
on the pre-eve of 4th of July was saying that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. So you then are in the Marine Corps. You're an infantry officer.
Yep.
And talk a little bit about your experiences and kind of some of the highlights of,
Okay.
your nearly 10 years as an infantry officer, please.
Yeah. So first order, so graduated IOC infantry officers course in Quantico, and then got orders at the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. So I did my lieutenant time there, so platoon commander, executive officer. Really enjoyed my time there, and I got to see 2 different command structures, 2 different battalion commanders rotated through. So I got some good exposure into different leadership styles and what I gravitated towards. And also just having a responsibility of 42 Marines assigned to my care, my command, my everything. At 22, 23 years old, it's a very humbling experience. When one of your Marine brings you a very real life problem that you have not encountered yet, you got to grow up really quick. So I cut my teeth in 2-4 and learned about the role of an officer in an organization, what we exist to do. And it's to command, but that word is so impactful. There's so much more that goes into that. It's caring. It's knowing, it's understanding, it's empathy. It's all of those things. I went kicking and screaming down to the depot. Did not want to go to the depot at all. I was an infantry officer. I wanted to go to SOI and continue doing grunt shit.
Yeah.
Wasn't my fate. They needed officers down at the depot because they had just staffed up to 5 company grade officers in each company, and they wanted grunts. They wanted infantry officers. Something about just the background and the first tour that an infantry officer has as a lieutenant that prepares them for that B billet. It just puts infantry officers on a whole nother playing level than any other officer. Because you're so used to interacting and working with NCOs and staff NCOs, you're reliant on them. You have to build that relationship. Series commander in 1st Battalion, company commander within 1st Recruit Training Battalion. Phenomenal time. The best drill instructors that I can imagine. Best first sergeant that I can imagine. Actually, I haven't put my guide on up behind me, but it's my Dirty D, my Delta Company guide on. It's going to be one of the ones that goes up towards the top.
Yes, sir.
And then I learned about the role of assistant director, which I changed to deputy director because I thought it sounded cooler. I got the T-shirt. I still got the T-shirt. That's the official. No matter what the regimental XO thought, it was deputy director.
Big God, Kroll, no shots at you, brother.
So the timing, it's a big timing thing. As how much time do you have left? When is the current guy going out? The timing worked out. I was very interested in to see the schoolhouse side of things. I'd felt that at that point with my knowledge of recruit training, I was starting to get limited in my impact, and I wanted a bigger platform for more impact. And that was DI school.
Oh yeah.
So the best year in my entire Marine Corps career was as a deputy director at DI school. Hands down, without question. And it's part and parcel to our mutual friend, Matt Palma, and him like trusting in me and allowing me to take risks on his behalf. Most of the time, unknowingly, me taking the risk, but him allowing me to experiment and really push that staff over there, those drill instructors, to see things in a different light. I found a passion over there, and it's something that I'm still pursuing to this day. And then went back so following the tour down there, 3 years down there, went back to 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, company command time there, headquarters and service battalion or headquarters and service company commander for 1 day shy of a year, 364 days. I'm still chapped about it. And then I became the remain behind element officer in charge for 2-5. So all the Marines that couldn't deploy, we had about 100 I think we started with 140, and a lot of them were the COVID deniers, just pending ADSEP. So I was in charge of those guys and nothing against battalion commanders, no direction, no mission. I had to create all this on my own, which I didn't fault them for. That was my job, is to take this off their plate so they can worry about the fight in the Pacific.
Sure.
But it really gave me, I had already established a good reputation in the regiment and allowed me to kind of create this atmosphere and give these Marines passion and purpose and drive instead of just working party to working party. and I brought in a lot of transitioning resources for them. So I became aware of transition resources a year before my departure. Actually, more than that, a year and a half before my departure.
Oh, wow.
And I would even go, I mean, I fell in love with finding more resources. I would contact NCOs of mine that had gotten out 6-9 months prior, and I would fly them out to Camp Pendleton to come talk to my Marines, or if they were in the area. So getting the perspective of an NCO that just transitioned out. I mean, the stuff they were saying was stuff that I had said 100 times, but they finally heard it when a sergeant that they knew said it. And that's, I mean, no discredit to anybody. It's just finding somebody that they will listen to was so impactful. And that goes into mentoring and networking and all the things that Paul talked about on his podcast. I mean, on his episode, covers everything. That man's going to do great things.
Yeah. He's talking about Paul Hanaway, who was a previous guest. We talked about transition. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So I know that I gave you, the biggest hug I could give somebody in 2020 when I retired, because DI school was my baby. That was that was my thing. And sincerely want to say, thank you so much for your efforts over there. You made a huge difference. The staff is comprised of nothing but professionals, but I'll tell you, you were definitely a standout, and I can never thank you enough for coming in there, and just giving that service level brief and giving everybody something different to think about, and only the way that you can articulate it. You just have a way of just communicating things really well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Next thing I would say is that, as you're building, you're almost building like mini transition plans, for your folks that are getting out, a lot of junior guys and stuff. So you're planting that seed. And now it comes your turn, where it's time for Kyle Fortney to go take his talents and his skills somewhere else. So that, like I said at the beginning, the main theme for tonight is going to be MBV, Masters of Business for Veterans, University of Southern California. That's the USC Trojans, for everybody out there, to keep it short and sweet for them. That program, that is something I would ask you to please dive into, because I understand through you and through another one of my friends that went through, that is indeed one of the hidden gems out there for veterans. Over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll tell you, viewers, I told you I was going to convince you to attend. And it's not going to be hard, because MBV has given me enough pitch just through the experience. So what MBV is, it's an executive MBA format. So you meet every other weekend. So every other Friday, Saturday, you're required to go up to USC. They make exceptions because everyone that attends the program is either a veteran or active duty. And I'll touch on that. But it's every other weekend for 10 months. So if you're thinking a GI Bill, that's 10 months of your GI Bill. You still have 26 remaining if you have 100% of your GI Bill. You can get 2 more master's degrees after this through one-year programs, accelerated programs. So it saves a lot of your GI Bill. Yellow ribbon accredited as well. So if you're 100%, if you qualify for 100% of your GI Bill, meaning you served the required amount of time in service, yellow ribbon will come in and top you off. So you pay nothing for your education.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Phenomenal.
Wow.
And then also, even more than that, Los Angeles monthly housing allowance, which is E5 with dependents BAH rate for the zip code. So it's Los Angeles. That monthly housing allowance could get you by in a transition, especially if you stack on disability and retirement. You'll be making more money the day that you get out than you were while you were still in. So it's the only people that are eligible to apply are active duty, National Guard, or veterans, retirees as well, reservists as well. In my cohort, there were 52 of us. We had people that did 4 years and got out 10 years ago. We had people that were still in, had no interest in getting out. They were just a staff sergeant on his way. 12 years in, was going to 20. Myself, I transitioned out in January of this year. So it was right as the second semester was starting. And that was so pivotal for me in my transition process. So it's all walks, guys that had just retired or had been retired. It's every walk of the military. We had all 5 branches represented. We had 2 Space Force officers as well.
Man, thank you for clearing that up, because I'll tell you why, because whenever you say masters of something, the young folks out there, our younger folks, veterans, are saying to themselves, that's not applicable to me. So I appreciate you clearing that up, man. I mean, it can be anybody that can do this. So let me ask you this question. It's, certain programs aren't for everybody. So like, why, like what's desirable, of you to go there? It sounds like you got to be pretty independent. Sounds like you got to be flexible. What's some other things about it on why you'd want to go there? And who would want to go there?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the pivotal question. What's in it for me? Why would I go to that?
Yeah.
All that sounds great. The money sounds great, but what is it going to do for me? I looked at myself from a hiring manager's perspective. What I brought was leadership, military leadership, which could or could not be valued depending on the organization and culture that exists within. I could do infantry officer things really well, and I thought I was doing project management. Project management is very different when the people managing your projects or doing the things are reporting to you and you write their fitness reports. It's very different than what we understand project management as. Operations is another thing that translates. So what I saw is I was missing is business. I didn't have any business education. My undergrad was not in business. So I wanted the business acumen to have a seat at the table and understand how to apply my military leadership in a business environment. That was the big draw for me. And 10 months, GI Bill every other weekend, all those other things made the decision very easy once I had kind of tipped that way and understood. And the program has changed my life, and I can say that. And I can say that for some of my classmates, it saved their life in a very literal sense. It's something that's incredible. The community that just breeds out of an environment like that. I know a lot of your listeners, likely familiar with a schoolhouse setting, at whatever stage in their career. And I always saw a schoolhouse setting as something to go back to, do your time in a fleet, and then you're going to go back to a schoolhouse because it's a very distinct common mission and common purpose that everyone is striving towards and helping each other. That's what we had at MBV. Our vehicle was very challenging academic material. But all the lessons that I learned and the transition prep that I gained was spent at a bar across the street with my fellow students. And, we would go up there Friday, Saturday. Friday night, you get a hotel right next to the bar that's across the street from your class. It's literally, it's in a cage, so you don't have to go anywhere. We would leave class and then just go sit there until John was falling asleep. And we would just talk about life. And I learned so much from these other veterans that have been retired for 5-10 years, from these people these veterans that got out after 4 and did 10 years and hated their job or loved their job. I got so much perspective from those conversations, and I developed such deep connections with so many people. There has not been a week so we graduated May 10th. There's not been a week that's gone by that I haven't gotten a check-in from one of my classmates. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Like anything new in your life? Give me some good news. Like, what are you struggling with? And it's never scripted. It's just flows. And that's the thing that I didn't realize that I was going to miss the most from the Marine Corps. And thank God I had MBV, is community, common understanding. And that's what MBV is. And it took me longer than I would have liked to really just let loose of the identity that I thought I had as a veteran, as an active duty service member. Because you're told to do certain things, your career progression, this is your track. This is the way that you're going, height and weight standards, everything is scripted for you. What MBV gave me was a very safe environment with people that I loved and trusted that allowed me to explore who I am. In January, I was in uniform. Today, I'm sitting here with earrings and a beard. Like I'm comfortable with who I am because of that environment and those individuals that were brought together for MBB. It's nothing short of magical, really.
Man, so many I can't even count all the nuggets of just goodness that you just unpacked in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that, that you're an honest person and, and you didn't say it, but you alluded to hey, I was kind of, struggling a little bit with the transition, you know, trying to find yourself, et cetera. And like that community, right? That's huge. The community part of it's big. And I know the other thing that John Stefan, who you said is a sleeper early, that's because he's old and shit. John, shout out to you. I've talked a little bit to him about the MBV program, and you know, he always alluded to the networking part of it. That is just a huge network. So let's go ahead and get into that a little bit. So you know, you graduate, and I know sometime towards the tail end or whatever, it's almost like a skill bridge kind of. You get networked with different people. They bring different companies, corporations in front of you, try to help you find fit and everything. Walk us through that and tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so within MBV, so it's not a transition course. It's not made for that, and it's disclosed very early. It's a course for those that want to pivot from your current career into something else. That's it. So the career development as well as the leadership portion of MBV is part of the curriculum. Leadership, there's a certain number of hours that you have to go to class for, and then the career development is during lunch, after hours, industry panels. So I'll cover the first one, the leadership course first. There's a homework assignment that you have to do 10 informational interviews with people in industries that you're interested in. It's an exercise in getting you to reach out and understand the power of network. If you do 10, you're going to stumble across at least one good one. My one good one came on number 4. I did the first 3 very quickly. All right, I'm going to get ahead on these because I know it's just going to stack up at the end of the semester, and then I fizzled out. There's over 125 executive partners that volunteer their time to mentor MBV students that are accessible to any MBV student. Right now, I could call any of them. Through one of them, he recommended that I speak with this individual, my current boss. He happened to be out in California the following week. We met up for lunch. We spoke for 3 hours. At the end of it was a job offer. Had no idea that he even had a position available. I wasn't looking. I was doing a skill bridge for renewable energy developer and owner operator. So I had I could carry a conversation within that field. He was a Naval Academy grad, so the benefits are still coming. And both of his daughters were either at or had graduated from USC. So tons of connections. I met my current boss in my transition and my first job out of the military through a homework assignment for MBV. Like I went into it saying, all right, cool. This will be 4 out of 10. Then I can move on to the next one. Walked out of it with an amazing job. That allows me so much freedom. And it still provides a challenge for me. And I appreciate that.
Let me ask you this, Kyle. So are you the anomaly, or is that sort of the norm for the cohorts?
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought about that. I would say it's the norm. It's so different though. Because it could like that opportunity could come for one of my classmates tomorrow. You know, it's opportunity. And it's just exposing yourself to as much opportunity. I got lucky that it was my 4th. Somebody else may have been their 11th. They just haven't done that 11th one since the homework assignment was done. So I would say, I mean, there's luck, there's opportunity. All of those things are constantly a factor. So I wouldn't say that I'm an anomaly. I mean, I dedicated myself. I can think of so many other people that dedicated themselves more than I did to my studies and to the program. That wasn't able to get the things that I've gotten out of it. And I truly believe it just hasn't come yet. Everyone that graduated that course is fully capable of doing whatever they want to do. And that may take me reaching out. Hey, are you doing that thing that you said you're going to do when we were in class? Did you start that company? Did you reach out to that recruiter? And just that little nudge, because that might be all that they need.
Let me ask you a couple quick follow-ups, man. So the first follow-up is, what's the criteria to get in? Do you have to have a bachelor's degree? Obviously you do, correct, to get in?
Yep. Yeah, bachelor's degree, and then it's an MBA. So they want to see a heavy emphasis on quantitative, and that's anything to do with numbers, really. I see. It can be business classes, it can be calculus. For me at Naval Academy, it's a bachelor's in science, so you cover calculus, you do engineering, you do programming. So I qualified from that. they will work with you. If say, hey, you're just not competitive this round. You need better grades in your business classes. You can go take individual classes and then apply next year. If you apply once and you don't get in, just strengthen your application. And it's easy. You have the GI Bill. You have tuition assistance if you're still in. You can be active duty while you're in, as I alluded to. It's very doable. It's 2 days a month. It's supposed to be PTAD because it's professional development, but a lot of guys, and you're not going to get a command to give you PTAD to go chill up in LA. But it's 2 days of leave. You accrue more than you would be spending for this program. So
gotcha.
it works out.
And you won't say this, but I'll say it on your behalf that you're a wicked smart dude, as we say where I'm from.
Thanks, man.
Good in high school. You get Naval Academy. You can't be a dummy and get in Naval Academy and done very, very well. But the rest of us, that are like the 75% that are okay, and maybe weren't the best students and all that stuff. Would somebody still be successful in MBV if they weren't a wicked smart dude like you?
Yeah, I mean, John Stefan got through, so I mean, that tells you how low the bar. I had to do that for them.
I hope you watched this, man.
I'm gonna send it to him. What I'll say about the academics is it's challenging. Like it's going to push you because the material is broad and it's deep enough to where you're going to find something that you're not good at, whether it's data analytics, whether it's finance, whether it's accounting. I forgot more than I learned in accounting from leaving there, but I survived in those because of my classmates. Like you get through it together. You'll find the people in your class I was very strong in data analytics. So I helped so many people out in that. And I was one of maybe about a dozen out of 52, a dozen people. And I'm sure people were helping like individually on the side that just weren't broadcasting, hey, let me know if you need help. But about a dozen that were openly inviting others on top of their job, their parenthood, on top of their own studies, volunteering their time for the classmates, because it is very much like we're getting through this together.
To all the viewers out there, I hope that, that Kyle's doing that it's resonating with you, that, that this is definitely attainable for you, regardless of, what school you went to. And forgive me, even though I didn't go through the program, but the way I'm picking up what you're throwing down is that, you'll get out of it exactly what you put into it for one. Effort is going to count there. And then you have a community full of veterans and, living outside of Quantico, Virginia. I don't know any veterans that just would not help each other out in our area. It'd be the same thing in a cohort in a formal setting. So phenomenal, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's an incredible program. I would often say that it's more therapeutic than academic. And not to say that the academics are not challenging, but it's really second semester that I realized the true value, and that was just talking. Some people would drink. I wouldn't drink. I didn't like to be sluggish on Saturday. We had class at 8 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, right.
We didn't need to, and there's no pressure from anybody to do anything that you're uncomfortable with. It's really just an incredible environment that exists that I've only found at MBV. I'm sure it exists somewhere else.
Sure.
But that was a truly unique experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
I would just offer to anybody out there, first off, if you have any follow-ups or any type, if you'd like any type of more information, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Kyle. And then secondly, from an outsider looking in, I'm not extremely active on LinkedIn, but active enough. And I tell you, man, like this Masters of Business of Veterans at University of Southern California, it is indeed like a cult. It is like networking times 10, and like it's thick as thieves and it runs deep. They go to the football games together and stuff. And just some of the stories that I've heard come out of that program, as far as like aligning you with other people, prospecting, people looking out for you, shaking hands, all the handshakes that you get to do, and the jobs that come out of it. And I tell you, man, like the jobs are very high paying, very high paying jobs. So,
and there were
something in the water over there, man.
Yeah, I know of two, and I think there's a third. Companies that were started from MBV students during MBV. They started their own company.
Awesome.
Two of them was a joint venture between the two students. It's not just, oh, I want to do this so I can get a good job. It flips the script on what you thought was possible and what you thought was attainable. It may not be a 9 to 5. It could be a remote gig. It could be consulting. There's so much. As active duty service members, we're hindered by what we know as work. It's in person. It's 7 days a week, constant tether. Like, you're always on the hook. It's exhausting, and I know you can relate to that, especially having the sergeant's major's phone for as long as you did.
Thanks. Tell me how I appreciate you. It's okay.
I mean, it's just understanding that there are so many different ways to provide a means of income and provide for your family, that you don't have to get stuck in the rat race of this 9 to 5. You can, if you find a phenomenal job and that's the one, great, good on you. You found your thing. But if you've ever been curious about owning your own business, MBV will give you everything that you need to confidently go about that venture. And if you run into something that you don't know, you got 10 years of alumni behind you just waiting for you to ask them for help, not to mention all the executive partners. So it's not just the MBV network, it's the Trojan alumni network that you now have access to, which USC, I'm going to butcher the statistics, but has one of the highest entrepreneurial or successful entrepreneurial graduates out of any college in the nation, any university in the nation. So you're walking on hollow grounds with potential, with networking, all by just going to this MBV and getting all of these benefits. It's really unfortunate that it's not more well known, but I think it attracts the right people that want to know about it, find out about it, and end up attending. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm honored to cover it, man. And part of the reason, why we do these podcasts, to show, different people, different, things that you can be doing. There's a lot of times we hear, you and I have heard the typical story throughout our service, I'm going to get out, I'm going to get a job, and then I'll figure it out. There's kind of a better way to do it. And there's more things to do besides going being a Department of Defense contractor and trying to transition to federal government. There's so many different things out there for people to do. I always say this, man. Pursue your passions, pursue what you're passionate about, because everything else will take care of itself. So,
as you're in the pursuit of that passion, you're going to meet people that share that passion. And then there's your lifelong friends.
Absolutely.
That's how it happens. And all you have to do is just understand yourself, rediscover yourself after you I recommend to a lot of guys that are getting out to take a break, especially if they're retiring. Go to school, take a break. You got disability, like, you're propped up. What that disability and that retirement allows you to do is not be handcuffed to a salary, to a high-paying job. You're already good. Go teach third grade English. If that is truly your passion, you can now do that and provide for your family. So once you understand that and you start to be honest and vulnerable with those that you meet, you start to discover that there's a lot of people out there that have very similar interests to you. And you just got to go find them. And they're doing the shit that you want to do. So it's easy. You just got to go.
Yeah. Dude, I value, this feedback that, you provided to the viewers, and greatly appreciate, your time with sharing, this. Again, this is one of those gems out there, man. Like, and I hope that people, will listen to this. And I hope, the one thing that you always the hurdle you got to kind of get over is risk, right? Yeah. It's a little bit risky for some folks, to step out of line, and do this. Me doing this podcast, same thing. Like, it's a little bit of risk. You always assume risk, but this is one of the good risks out there. Yeah. You get so much benefit on the back end. So, hey, if you're interested, take the damn plunge, apply, freaking do what you need to do. I mean, try it out. It's worth it.
And I mean, and on your topic of risk, I mean, a lot of things in the Marines, operational risk mitigation management, that's something that we're very used to. We plan for mitigation to risks. So we can do the same thing in our personal and professional lives. You've already mitigated that. If you're a retiree, or if you're getting out after 4 years, you have some sort of disability, some money coming in. That's how you mitigate that risk. You can take a chance on starting a franchise, on owning your own business, because you still have income coming in.
Right.
Life is full of risks. You have to determine if you want to or not, and then which one of those risks can you mitigate, whether through financial means, whether it's through stability. nothing is impossible. You can do whatever you want to do. There's risk associated with them. Just find the ways to mitigate those risks for you and your family and your personal situation. And then go do the shit that you want to do.
Absolutely, man. I always think about risk in this contest. Might be a little humorous to you, but Master P, Percy Miller, who started No Limit Labels back in the mid '90s, $10,000 check that he got from an inheritance, and he took that and built an empire on it.
I didn't know that.
Just you assumed this risk, man, 10 grand, and turned into a damn empire. Wow. Because he had a vision, he had a passion, and he assumed some friggin' risk. So same thing, man. It's all about improving, your life. Unfortunately today, like I was telling you during warm-ups, we lost General Mullen. Don't know how yet, but if General Mullen give us one last lesson that he could pass on to us, it's indeed that, life is short. You don't know when your time is. So go out there and go pursue it and go get after it, while you get the time before inevitably we all take a dirt nap at some point in, time. So Kyle, I appreciate you sharing, man. So, hey, over to you for one, closing comments, and two, shout out to whoever. And as a good senior enlisted leader, I will tell you, do not forget your family during the shout out. Over to you.
I saw Paul mess that one up. I'm not gonna mess that one up. Parting shot. So I wrote this down. One for active duty and then one for veterans because they're a little bit different. Active duty. Go to medical. Just suck it up. Go to medical. It's going to make everything easier. Like once you get out, it may be a minor annoyance to you now. When you're 50, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So just go to medical, get it documented. I've heard great things about the new Genesis system that they have. Just get it documented.
Yeah.
Start networking now. There's no excuse not to. You cannot make an educated decision on the rest of your life unless you at least understand what is on the other side. Every year that you just ignore what else is out there, every opportunity out there, you're putting on blinders and you're just limiting yourself, your potential. I mean, and maybe it's the military, maybe it's the Marine Corps. It is for a lot of people. For me, I decided that it wasn't. And that came from talking to people because I was curious. And what I would recommend is the first sign that you're curious or the first opportunity you're coming up on reenlistment, just weigh the other side, just measure the other side, see what's out there. It's hard. Absolutely. Oftentimes it's easier to stay in than it is to get out. Almost every time it is, depending on a couple circumstances. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you got to make an educated decision. And it's when you've decided to transition, don't rule out DoD contracting because you want nothing to do with the military. Don't rule out the reserves because you're over it. Talk to a recruiter. Talk to 3 people that work for different defense contractors. Really understand what it is that you're turning down before you turn it down. That's my advice to active duty guys. For veterans, know and understand your benefits, the benefits that you have earned through your time in service, and capitalize on those. I mean, that goes from GI Bill, VA disability, Small Business Association. They have veteran specific branches. There's a office here in Charleston where I live, completely free. They have 4 business consultants on their staff and legal business consultants as well, completely free to veterans. You got an idea, they will build the roadmap for you. You got to do the work, but they will let you know, or they will advise you on the roadmap that you need to go and save you countless dollars, hours, like so much time, and you're just pursuing a passion. There's so many benefits out there, and I feel like I only know 1% of them. MBV taking up a big one. And then the biggest thing that a veteran needs to do is oftentimes we get separated from our pack. You see my hat is Wolf Tribe. Philip Folsom, he's a big part of MBV. I learned so much from that man on the value of community and tribe. And as veterans, oftentimes we stray away from our tribe, from our pack. And we become isolated because the people around us don't understand us. Our problems are not problems that they've dealt with, and we're foreign. You need community, and you may not think that you need it, but just remember that feeling, or really understand that feeling when you reach out to a buddy, a veteran, that feeling of familiarity and trust and love that you share with that individual. that's a community. You need to build more of that in your life. And that's how you become the best version of yourself. So community above all else, above income, family, and then community. But a community makes a strong family, and a family makes a strong community. I truly believe that once we leave the pack, that's where we go astray. And it's up to us that are in the pack to pull our brothers and sisters into the pack. Say, hey, get in here. You don't know that you need me, but let's talk.
Yeah.
It's an incredible connection that veterans can have. We don't have to serve together, but within 30 minutes, you're going to know more about me than, my sister knows about me or a family member knows about me. Just because there's that known commisery, and there's never any judgment. It's never a contest. It's so fluid, and it's just the strength of that community. We need more of it.
Yeah, no, hands down. Another good part about, me running this program is indeed that, trying to reconnect people.
Yep.
I haven't seen your face outside of, social media in 4 years.
Yeah.
This time that I've spent with you has been just really, really good for my soul, man. And I love that aspect of this. And I love the aspect of, you're going to take it and I'm going to take it and we're going to distribute it, through our other brothers and sisters that are familiar with you and I. And it kind of just gets people, energized and, and gets them thinking again. And I like the fact that we can contribute to those points that you made, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Brother, don't forget, like the good officer that you are, don't forget the shout out, man. Give the shout out. I'm going to go.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to lead me into that. Without my wife, and I'm not saying that to be cliche. None of this is possible. The house in a neighborhood that we just moved into, not possible. The last year, me going through MBV, getting out of the military in January, moving across the country, I've put my wife through so much heartache and trouble, and I thought that we kept it together, but now that everything's kind of settling, holy shit, that was a lot. It's kind of setting in. And I would say for me, I think all the decisions that we made and the timing was necessary. It was really hard, and she kept it together. She kept the family unit together. My son, he's my best friend. He's almost 2.5 years old. None of this is possible without her. And then following behind her, our mutual friend Matt Palma. That man did so much. Did so much for me in uniform and on my way out, and just really seeing that happiness is not. It's not achieved in the way that we think it is. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to constantly work until the day that you die striving for happiness. You can go out and be happy when you decide that you want to be happy, and just pursuing passions. He's built a life for himself, and it wasn't an easy road. I've learned so much sage advice from him over the years, and just seeing what's possible on the way out. I don't think I would have gone for MBV, applied for MBV, had it not been for him believing in me at DI school, and then maintaining our friendship while he was the 1 MEF operations officer, the 1 MEF G3, and just finding time during the week to go rock climbing with me and just have those mentorship sessions twice a week. We would go rock climbing, and as he was the MEF G3, just gave so much of his time to me, and I'm forever indebted in gratitude to that man.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning him. What a phenomenal man. Very resilient man, very tough man. And I guess another good way to describe me, very unorthodox. Very unorthodox guy. He ain't interested in employment. He's just going out there doing things that make him happy, living on the cheap and just having a good old time. I got a lot of respect for that. And indeed, that's what it's all about. It's all about, you indeed with internal happiness and being comfortable with yourself and going out there and doing those things. So a lot of love for him.
Yeah.
Brother, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to show off here for a second. So hold on. Everybody sees that right there. 2023 24 NBA champions. Everybody's okay. Just want to make sure.
When did you order that?
A couple days ago. Hey, so like again, Kyle, sincerely, brother, your time, your insight, your willingness to help, your other brothers and sisters out there are veterans, give them a peek behind the curtain about MVV. I hope that the viewers, I hope that you pay attention, and I hope that you indeed, if you think that this is for you, to go ahead and take that plunge because it's going to be well worth your time. So, Kyle, thank you so much for sharing. And to Left, Right, Left Nation out there, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for all the support that you've given me. So many new subscribers to the channel, so much new, community that we're building. And I tell you, man, I'm only getting started and we are growing. Keep on mashing those likes, subscribes, comments, doing all those things to help out my algorithms. But most importantly, if this helps just one, our mission's accomplished. Be bold, be brave, be exceptional. Press the gas on life. Have a great one, everybody. Say goodnight, Kyle.
Take care, y'all.